So my name is Sahar Habib. I'm the Communications Director at Code for Pakistan. As Lauren said, we'll be giving a bit of an overview of the work we've done in the past few months in responding to COVID-19. And some of them are civic tech and volunteer initiatives, and some of them we've been partnering with the government. I'll just quickly give an intro of what Code for Pakistan does for anyone who doesn't know. And then I'll hand it off to my colleagues Ebtihaj and Ibraheem, who will tell you more about the specific work we've done around COVID-19 with the government, with other partners, and also through our fellowship program and how we've redesigned and reimagined our annual fellowship program in light of COVID-19. So I'll just start off by providing a bit of context. So here you can see an example of maybe what the scene might be at a government office. One of the biggest challenges in Pakistan is that there's a huge gap between citizens and government, and they're unable to engage and communicate in a meaningful way. And because of scenes like this, citizens often do not want to engage with the government, and because the government is seen as inefficient and bureaucratic and slow. The government often doesn't have the resources and the skills and the capacity to respond to the growing needs of citizens. And they also see citizens as sort of, they always complain, and, it's just a communication and a trust gap. So over the years, the government of Pakistan has made a lot of strides towards digitization, and there have been certain services that have become a lot more faster and efficient and more accessible, like renewing your passport and getting a national ID card. These things are much easier now. But there's still a lot of room. The government is a huge entity, and there's a lot of room for further digitization. And that's where we see a meaningful role for Code for Pakistan. So our vision is a vision is for a government that works seamlessly for everyone. Code for Pakistan is a nonprofit, and we are a collection of industry experts. We mobilize a big community of volunteers who are industry professionals, and we also have a small core team. We're working to build a civic innovation ecosystem and bridge the gap of innovation between the government and the private and the public sectors, basically, because there's a huge gap between how the private sector and the public sector approach and develop technology, and what the experiences are when users and citizens engage with technology that's and services that are accessed within the private sector, and then the similar services that are developed within the public sector. So our mission is to harness the power of people and technology to build a better citizen-centered government. So we really want to create a culture where the delivery of government services is citizen-centered, and where there's increasing citizen engagement and involvement in government service delivery processes, and citizens are involved in the co-creation of these services that ultimately affect them and they will be using at every step of the process. And where there is an ease of access and transparency and trust in government services. And so through the work that we do with the fellowship program, and also with the federal government, which Ebtihaj can talk about later, is we're trying to improve government efficiency by using digital tools and technology, and helping citizens and government work together to create social impact. And in this way, we hope to truly meaningfully transform the way citizens and government interact. So we have three main pillars that we work within: e-government, open government, and civic engagement. Ebtihaj and Ibraheem will be covering more about what we do under the e-government pillar. So I'll quickly run through what we do under open government and civic engagement. Under open government, we have built open data portals for different government departments. We've developed apps that promote transparency. And we also run open data trainings and have been involved in the Open Government Partnership and can continue to do so when the opportunity arises. So some of the open work we've done under open data is our Civic Innovation Lab in Islamabad, which is a volunteer-run group, developed an open data portal called Open Asterisk, which is an open data portal in partnership with the local city government. Then we also ran an open data scrapathon event, which was aimed at improving transparency and government accountability through access to open data. And then through the KP Fellowship, we have, in partnership with the KP Bureau of Statistics, developed an open data portal. With the Performance Management and Reform Unit, we've developed another open data portal again through the fellowship program. And then we continue to provide open data workshops and trainings to government departments. And we've also helped the KP province develop their open data, their provincial open data strategy. To draft that, we supported them. So this is the open data portal that was the KP open data portal. KP is one of the provinces in Pakistan where we run our government innovation fellowship program. And so this is a provincial open data portal. And it now has over 1,200 government data sets, and there are more to be added soon. And if anyone has any questions, then Ebtihaj and Ibraheem can answer those later. So finally, a third pillar under civic engagement. Civic engagement is a big part of what we do because it's important, like I said, for citizens to be engaged in the process of co-creating solutions and be involved in the process of developing public services that impact them. So some of the ways we do that is through our Civic Innovation Labs, which are groups of volunteer community members who meet regularly and collaborate with government, with nonprofits, with civil society organizations, media organizations locally within their communities and cities, and work on designing and using tech and data to engage with and strengthen their communities and use technology to better serve their target audience. So we have very active labs in Peshawar and Islamabad. And projects developed by the CILs have included collaborations with NGOs, with civil society organizations, and with local government. So another one of our key civic engagement activities is the hackathons that we organize. And we organize an annual hackathon in Islamabad, and hackathons are events, 2 to 3 day events where citizens and citizens come together with, variety of skill sets, programmers, designers, urban mappers, data analysts, journalists, government, social scientists. We have a diverse audience, and they come together to create open source tools, whether they're web or mobile applications that address some sort of civic or social issue. So we've organized hackathons in many cities, in Peshawar, in Lahore, and Karachi as well. And we've partnered with government, we've partnered with the private sector, and we usually have a lot of partners on board from, again, a diverse group, including the development sector and the donor community and local government, the private sector, which really and these are the events that really help us build our community and our network and continue to introduce people to the work that we're doing. And then it allows us to again, increase, continue to build our network and increase the partners that we have, which just makes what we do more inclusive and expansive. So these are some of the events, hackathons. We've run an app challenge, which is a longer term event where teams develop applications over the course of a few weeks. We've also organized hack days with a variety of themes. So So before I hand off to Ebtihaj, who will talk specifically about the work we've done around responding to COVID-19, I'll just talk a bit I'll briefly touch on the collaborations that we've had and just how they came about, because just in case anyone's curious, and then we're happy to answer questions. The Digital Pakistan is a government level initiative, and Shiba, who is our founder and executive director, was invited to consult with the Digital Pakistan team on strategy. And so we were also, Code for Pakistan was also invited to present on our work a few months ago. And there was a lot of alignment and synergy with what they wanted to do and what we had already done, particularly with the government. And so a week or two after our first meeting with them, sort of the COVID-19 cases started to go up, and they requested our support and for our volunteers to work, our team and our volunteers to work with them to get some projects up and running. So that's how that partnership came about. Then with the IBM team, Hamid, who was our president, made an introduction to the team, because as I said, our network includes a lot of volunteers who then obviously extend our work to their networks with colleagues and friends. So they made the introduction with the IBM team, and that's how that collaboration came about. And then with the UNDP and the World Bank, we've had previous partnerships with both these organizations for some years. And so they were familiar with the work that we do, and when the opportunity arose, they reached out to us to see how we could support them with our expertise and skill sets to address and respond to the pandemic. So now I will hand off to Ebtihaj, who will tell you a bit more about the response to COVID-19. Yeah. Do you want to?
Ibrahim, do you want to share your screen?
Sure.
Okay.
Sahar, if you can turn off, so I will start sharing my screen.
Okay.
Ebtihaj, I have given you remote control access as well, so I'll go to presentation mode and then yeah, I think it's good.
Everyone. So hey everyone, my name is Ebtihaj and I'm the Government Innovation Lead at Code for Pakistan. And part of what I do is we have different initiatives with the federal government and the provincial government, and I more or less look after them. I've been a part of the fellowship program previously, where we've worked with the KP provincial government, and now I've moved to Islamabad, and now I'm looking after our federal initiatives as well. And since this pandemic, it's a global catastrophe. So as soon as the first case surfaced in Pakistan, the government of Pakistan started brainstorming, and we were probably one of the very first organizations that stepped up to help the government as volunteers. So since governments across the globe, they were introducing solutions that were unique to their own settings. Many of them were trying to actually reduce the economic as well as the human loss, and introduce different solutions like contact tracing and mobile fencing, teleeducation, chatbots, and whatnot. And so here in Pakistan, we were at the same time helping our government with planning and executing a couple of different initiatives that I'll be talking about today in detail, starting with this COVID dashboard that we developed for the government of Pakistan. This was actually the first official dashboard of the government, which basically combined all of the data that was coming through different situational reports that are being published by the government regularly, and it ensure that all of this data is accessible and is delivered to the public in a timely fashion. So it's just like another dashboard giving some basic statistics, basic graphs, and around COVID and coronavirus, and different comparisons with countries, and the growth rates, and the trends across the globe. So this is just the front-facing web app that was accessible to the public. But what we are also proud of is that on the back end, we also help the government improve the data pipeline. So actually, when this pandemic started in Pakistan, there was no method through which the government can collect the data at this scale for such a pandemic. And so we, in addition to our other partners, we sat down with the government officials, the Ministry of Health, and we helped them improve this data pipeline, through which now they are now capable to collect the information at scale for any disaster other than COVID as well. So soon after we published this dashboard, the government started working on their own dashboard, which was a more comprehensive one. It had more data coming in. It had more graphs. It had more comparisons. So we stopped working on this dashboard, but now what we are doing with this, with what we had, because we've developed the infrastructure, now we've exposed the data using an API, and different services are now using this API, including a couple of chatbots, a couple of organizations for their dashboards. Talking about the chatbots, we are also, I mean, in partnership with the Digital Pakistan and the Digital Pakistan Foundation and the government of Pakistan, we are also helping manage the official WhatsApp chatbot of the government of Pakistan. So this is a public-facing chatbot using which the public can get information about different services being provided by the government, including some basic statistics about coronavirus, what are the symptoms of coronavirus, lots of informational content on the WhatsApp bot, and different organizations have helped actually gather all of this information and put it in the form of this chatbot. So in addition to managing this, right now we've also developed two parts of this WhatsApp chatbot. First of which is the telehealth part. So if anyone from the public wants to consult with a doctor without going to the hospital and just checking their symptoms, if they have the symptoms of coronavirus, because there were a lot of patients who were complaining about having the symptoms, but again, there are so many other diseases that could happen to them instead of coronavirus. So using this platform, this chatbot connects the public to volunteer doctors, that the dashboard that I'll be talking about in the next slide, and they can talk to the doctors. Doctors can provide consultations to them. So this is basically the front end or the front-facing app for the public to interact with those volunteer doctors as well. Secondly, what we've added to this chatbot now is that all of the health workers, they can submit their issues to the government. So for example, if they are facing issues in, let's say they do not have the proper equipment, or they're having any kind of issue, they can submit their complaints using this chatbot to the government, and the government is taking action on all of those and trying to make sure that all of the healthcare workers are being provided proper security, proper equipment, and everything that they need at this stage. So this is the doctor's dashboard that I was just talking about in the last slide. So so the public, they can come and they can submit their symptoms using the WhatsApp bot, and this is the dashboard that was developed for the doctors, through which they could provide consultations to the patients and identify people who are at risk, and I mean, at the same time, identify people who just have mild symptoms, and they can simply ask them to stay at home and keep themselves in a quarantine and take care of themselves at home instead of visiting the hospital. So in return, that would also reduce the load in the hospitals, and educate people on how they can take care of themselves at home. So proactive measures, so taking proactive measures by themselves. And lastly, this is another dashboard that we worked on in collaboration with IBM. The another issue that we identified when this pandemic started hitting Pakistan was lots of lockdowns. We observed lots of lockdowns across Pakistan, and there were a lot of people who needed help in terms of donations, and there was no platform which provided validated information about essential services. So, for example, if I want to go and get myself tested for something, or if I want to see if grocery is available, or if I want to see if there's a delivery service available, or if there are other services, for example, a government office, what's the opening time, what's the closing time, where are they located, what's their time, what's their contact number, so all of that. So there was no platform where all of this information was available. So we worked with volunteers from IBM. We developed this platform for them. The aim of which is to have a platform to have a content from the Twin Cities initially, validated information from the Twin Cities, and then this could be scaled to other cities as well. We started off populating this with a couple of volunteers, a couple of students, since during the lockdown, all of the students were mostly free and they had free time on their hands. So we started populating the information with their help, and the eventual goal was to open it to the public so that most of this information could be crowdsourced from other cities as well. So this is just a few things that we did with the federal government at the federal level and with a couple of private organizations. I'll hand it over to Ibraheem now, who can brief you about our initiatives at the KP fellowship program and how we've been dealing with the pandemic situation there. Over to you, Ibraheem.
So thank you, Ebtihaj, and Sahar for explaining our organization's response to COVID-19. So hello everybody, I'm Ibraheem Saleem and I'm the program manager at the KP Community Innovation Fellowship Program. So I'll be sharing how we responded to the COVID-19 pandemic and how we designed a remote fellowship program for the first time since the fellowship started since 2014, and how we executed it. So before going into details about launching the remote fellowship cycle, I would like to briefly explain a little detail about the fellowship program. So the fellowship program is a 6-month program supported by Court for Pakistan, the KPIT board, and the World Bank. The program brings together technologists, government agencies, and the public to work on lean and agile development methodologies to solve problems and increase civic engagement so that they can innovate in public services. The key goals of the program are to increase citizen reach, create efficiency in government processes, empowering government, and increasing government transparency. So we have been running the fellowship program since 2014. And since that time, we have been able to execute 5 cycles of the program successfully. In these 5 cycles, we have developed over 28 digital solutions for 21 different government departments, and 87 fellows have graduated from the program. The fellows who graduate from the program become part of the Civic Innovation Lab initiative that we are running, and they continue to mentor new fellows. And because of the amazing curriculum of the fellowship program, these fellows also go on and explore great opportunities for their careers. And some of them are working with the government, and some of them are working in the private sector, while some fellows are also pursuing entrepreneurial ventures. So these are some of the digital solutions which we have developed. Most recently, we have developed an open data portal, which is going to be launched very soon. In addition to this, we have developed different complaint apps for different government departments. And we also work on impact related projects. To mention, we have worked on a grant management system for minorities and many other impact related projects as well. So before the pandemic, these pictures illustrate what the fellowship used to be like. It used to be very hands-on. We had government trainings, workshops, mentorships, and demo days, and everything used to happen in an amazing co-working space called Durshal, provided by a KPIT board. We had a lot of interactions, a lot of interactivity. But after the pandemic, we needed to figure out how are we going to run the program entirely remotely. So the past 4 months have been really uncertain. I think everybody would agree with that. So we were faced with the challenge of how are we going to launch the 6th cycle of the program. Just before, as we were going to launch the program, Pakistan had its first case of COVID-19 and the country went into lockdown. So we went back to the drawing board. We started thinking of how can we execute the program remotely. We prepared a detailed plan and we shared it with our program partners and decided to execute the program remotely. One of the reasons that we wanted to start quickly was we wanted to support our government partners and also ensure the safety of fellows so that they can work safely from the safety of their homes. So in the remote fellowship, we have redesigned the program to incorporate virtual team building, training, mentorships, and product development. The remote cycle is also using a lot of online collaborative tools to deliver sessions, organize team huddles, and facilitate user research. And this year, we had a concerted effort to support our frontline government departments so that we can help them transition quickly towards online mode of service delivery. We also thought of doing a virtual boot camp to assist our fellows to learn the fundamentals of remote work and how they can work comfortably in a telecommuting format. So we were able to launch the program remotely on June 1st. It's almost been 2 months and we are conducting online government meetings. So for requirements gathering, some of the government departments requested an in-person visit. So we visited those departments and we were strictly following SOPs. We were wearing face masks and gloves and we were ensuring that everybody's health and safety can be taken care of. And since the program is running remotely, we are also able to conduct a lot of online workshops and trainings. And we can ask mentors who are not residing in Peshawar, and we can ask them who are, like they are available anywhere in Pakistan and even internationally, so that they can mentor our fellows and conduct online workshops. So I think this is a really great benefit of running the cycle remotely. And since we follow an agile methodology, we're also conducting daily scrum meetings online as well. So there is a lot of interaction going on every day in the daily stand-up meeting. So as I mentioned that we were about to start the 6th cycle, before launching the cycle, we do problem statement collection from different government departments. And this year around, we had almost 40 problem statements from different government departments. But when the COVID-19 pandemic came, our selection criteria pivoted and we started focusing more towards facilitating those departments whose service delivery can be shifted or transitioned to online mode of service delivery. One of the reasons was that we didn't want the public to visit those government departments and compromising their health and safety. So we wanted to select those departments. And also there was an effort to support frontline government departments. So we selected 2 problem statements from the Department of Health. One was almost a priority project, and the other was the digitization of pharma licenses. So we selected 2 projects from the Department of Health. So we were able to launch the cycle remotely. Like I mentioned that we selected a project from the Department of Health. We hired a team of data scientists almost a month in advance to support the Department of Health on COVID-19 case management and reporting. So these amazing 4 data science fellows have been working with the Department of Health since mid-May. So I believe some of them are here as well. So shout out to them for their amazing work. And also, I think the credit goes to the fellows. I think they all rose up to the occasion, and they're doing some tremendous work. And the fact that we are running the cycle remotely in these uncertain times, I think I would credit the entire fellowship team to be able to execute the program remotely. I think it's amazing that we are doing this, and we are hopeful that we are able to achieve a lot of goals for our government partners as well. So I think the remote fellowship isn't without its own challenges. There have been some challenges that we have to navigate for the program. Initially, when we were launching the program, some of the government partners were not very open to remote work format. But our team was able to successfully convince them, and we were able to um, uh, like help them transition towards an online mode of working as well. So with the pre-fellowship bootcamp also included inviting some of the government partners so that we can explain of how are we going to conduct meetings, how are we going to share progress updates, etc. And now I think we have successfully transitioned smoothly, and we are conducting weekly progress updates on online meetings, and we are also thinking of conducting a demo day where we can invite different partners so that the fellows can demonstrate what they have been doing for the past 2 months as well. And also some of the government department requested in-person meetings, so we facilitated that by following SOPs. We also invested a lot in training as well. So right from the start, we conducted a pre-fellowship boot camp. The boot camp, there's a blog on that as well. So if you guys are interested, you can look up the Medium channel on Code for Pakistan. So we conducted this pre-fellowship boot camp. We arranged almost 10 sessions and 4 mentor talks. We shared telecommuting essentials, work from home essentials, the do's and don'ts of online work, the tools that are necessary to collaborate online, tools such as Figma, using GitHub, using online meetings, using WhatsApp, using landline telephone. So essentially, we wanted to equip the fellows and help them navigate the remote fellowship smoothly. Um, and since the fellows are working remotely, one of the core part of the fellowship is team building as well. So before the pandemic, the fellows used to be working in a co-working environment. There used to be a lot of interaction. The fellows made and forged these amazing bonds with each other, and they were able to do amazing work because of that teamwork. But this year around, due to the promote fellowship, I think this thing has been impacted a little bit. But we are encouraging the fellows to conduct online meetings on a daily basis, to interact with each other. In the pre-fellowship boot camp, we also had an open mic session where we asked each fellow about their story. I think that humanizing touch, I think the background story part, I think that really helped the team to gel in together and to know about each other more as well. And lastly, I would like to mention about sometimes we plan for delays as well. If for example some teams are struggling, there might be some connectivity issue, or there might be like the deliverables are a bit complex. So we ask fellows from other teams to assist fellows as well. So we try to have a very collaborative environment, even in online or remote fellowship as well. So these were some of the challenges that we were facing. So I would like to conclude my talk by saying that we are constantly learning from the remote fellowship. There are lots of learnings that we have done so far, and the future is still uncertain. We are not sure if we want to continue with the remote fellowship, but I think what we have realized that the remote fellowship has a lot of positives. There are a lot of great things about the remote fellowship, and I think as we move forward, I think the world has changed, and there is more acceptance to digital and online work, even from government partners. So there used to be some friction. We have come a long way since these 5 years, and I think moving forward there will be more acceptance towards an online mode of work, to remote work as well. So we are very hopeful, and we are very proud of our fellows and the fact that we are running the cycle remotely, and potentially generating a lot of impact for our government partners. So thank you. Sahar, over to you. So I'll be stop sharing my screen, and if there are any question and answers, you can moderate that. Sahar, can you unmute? Your mic is mute.
Yes, thanks. Thank you, Ebtihaj and Ibrahim. So if, like Ibrahim said, if anyone has any questions, we're happy to answer them. If you want to put them in the chat, or should we wrap up then?
Yeah.
No one has questions.
Yeah, we can wrap up. Well, thank you so much for speaking today. It's been really great to have you. And thank you, Sheba, for taking notes for us.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.